This is the Level Network. I'm Justin Horo, joined by the WYONG Willie Mason, and you are running late to go to the airport.
Yeah,
so
it's all shit happening.
Shit always happens. when
Doesn't
something
matter.
like that
We'll get it
happens.
done. We get it done.
But we get it done. And speaking of getting it done, looks like Uncle Gus has got it done.
Uncle Gus has got it done. He's got it done. He's copping strays from all these people. They want to know what's going on. I'm like, hey, it's Gus. Shut the fuck up. He gets shit done. They're all going to come at him. They want answers. And I'm like, hey, it's done.
It was good theatre.
It's good theatre. But I mean, you got Shamus and that coming at him. Shamus might be working for the dub fucking Times in a couple of hours.
Credit to Shamus. credit to Shamus. He went hard in the paint.
He needed to. He just wanted, that's just good journalism. If he wants to get it, if he wants to go at the big dog.
Well, it's not.
Like, it wasn't questions that he's just asking questions that the average Joe wants to know.
Everybody wanted to know.
Everyone wants to know. Were you interested? And Gus will just play it with a straight bat. And who are you talking to, mate? Like, Gus is the master at all these games.
He's the quadruple AG.
You can't fuck with him. He's too smart. His memory is ridiculous. He said he misled the public. He said he didn't. He said you were interested. Well, he goes, go back. I didn't say I was interested. All these things. He's got an answer for everything. Be careful who you're going at.
Going back to Shamus before we move on to the Galvin situation. So everyone's aware of Galvin. A lot of the concerns, and I've seen it, and it's across the board, and we get it as well, but just in general, I've been watching more so the Channel 9 socials and that, just getting hammered around Gus's influence on the show, which he's able to perceive to be able to court Lachlan Galvin during this situation, have influence. And I can't believe, like, everyone's been thinking it. Everyone's, like, says it within their own little circles. But I can't believe Shamus just was able to get on a show with him with a panel and hold his own. Like,
did you see Cam Smith?
Yeah. Who else was there?
Was he trying to get it?
Was
Cam Smith trying to get out a shot? Yeah, Brace was
Bracey?
there.
Was it Bracey?
I think Brace was there. He was asking all the questions.
Yeah.
So that was good. I mean, that's just he has to ask all these questions, Shamus, mate. It's good on him. He wasn't asking anything that was like way out of line.
Or sorry.
Did he ask anything that was out of line, Hoz?
No, not in the sense of out of line, but normally, like, once it's normally if Gus was a guest on a Fox show, normally that happens. Like once there's alignments, right? We know there's alignments.
Of course, he's just his own people. Your own people don't go at your own.
Normally they don't. But this case, because this specific situation with Galvin has brought out what's almost become like a clear example of where you cannot be one-sided on either side. You have to have a strong opinion either way, and I can't believe that.
I can't believe Shamus is like that, because I think he's got a set of balls on him.
Yep.
And he just sat there and he goes, "Well, this is the opportunity. If anything, if I'm going to have a crack, if I'm going to, it's Brace. Brace is a legend. If he was ever going to ask these questions, and I think they would have had a chat before. You know what I mean? Look, Gus, I'm going to ask you some questions.
For sure they would have.
Yeah, and it's not a setup. It was never a setup.
Not a setup?
No, it wasn't an ambush Gus. You don't fucking ambush Gus. Otherwise, you'll be, as I said, you'll be doing fucking radio out in fucking Wilkenya.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So Gus would have expected it.
Yeah.
Shamus would have said, mate, I've got to ask you.
I've got to ask you these questions.
In saying that, to what level, with Gus's reputation, did he think Shamus would go and questions and double down and triple down and go back? Well, see, that's where it looked like Gus started to get a little bit agitated.
Because he kept saying that he misled the people.
Yep.
Well, that's calling Gus. You're testing Gus's credibility. So you fucking don't like that. You test his character and you question anyone's character or credibility. You're gonna get that. See how fucking low key Gus can be all the time. That's whatever's going in here. It's not portraying whatever's. Whatever you see here on the facade is not what's happening in that brain.
Furious.
So you understand that. I know how Gus rolls, and Gus is, and Gus is a lot softer in his older age. He's a lot more, like he can talk on these things, and he's very low key. He talks really eloquent. He's great. He explains things really well. Where how Shamus was in it, all over the shop a little bit, but he was saying, you said that you weren't interested. Well, he said he didn't say that. He didn't you misled the people, and that's what really pisses Gus off, because he didn't mislead anyone.
we'll see. He was, and not to say that Shamus is inexperienced in this, and he's an ascending journo with been in the game and got skin in the game for a while now. But it's a different type. Like Gus has been in these situations before. You could tell to be able to stay ice cool, stay relaxed, sort of respond the way he did, but also, you could tell like furious.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he started to get agitated, and Shamus, he's just prepared for every single, and he knows what everyone's saying too, right? Once he decided that he was no longer going to be at the Tigers, the obvious choice was the Bulldogs. When he talked about development and ascending club, what he's putting down, Luke Vella, people are concerned and are blowing up about the previous conversations and then what Gus is doing, and that's whether there will be any repercussions from it or whatever. I don't. We just said this before we come on.
He's the Teflon Don.
Gus is so much of an OG that he will just sit there. He'll cop the backlash.
Are you going to question his character or credibility? He's like, if he says he didn't do it, what are you going to do?
There's not much you really can do.
Nothing you can do.
And the thing is,
sorry,
there is. You can complain about
slander his name. And try and just say, oh, he said this. Like, God, you got guys like Buzz. You got all these other guys on the other side hammering. He does not give a fuck about anything that you're saying.
I think not necessarily that he doesn't give a fuck, but he knows it will eventually pass. Yeah. So, like, you just give it 2 or 3 weeks and then the news cycle will go around. It's like when players go through it, right? They're like, oh, this is the worst. The world's caving in on me. Yeah. Uncle Gus is just like, whatever.
What's happening tomorrow?
What's happening
tomorrow?
Origin.
It's to be forgotten about. You know what I mean? Like this is how big a story it is, Galvin, because because obviously Origin, everyone's on their best behaviour. No one gives a shit, right? Yep. Everyone's just trying to prepare for the game. Crichton we'll go through that. Crichton trying to get through his injury, but this is the bigger story. You know what I mean? Because it's like that was the fucking it broke everything a couple of weeks ago when Galvin goes, I want to get out, and then everyone was just going, where's he going? Where's he going? And I'm like, I sort of had an inkling, but I'm like, I was just this was me playing just like nowhere near my connection with the Dogs. I'm like, I was just picking up what he was putting down. The development, the coaching, the culture. I'm like, that ain't leading that way to Para. This is going this way towards us. I'm like, but how will it work? We still don't know how it's going to work. Sexton, Reed Marnie, Connor Tracy, all these blokes are in the firing line.
Let's get to that. So Galvin is set to join the Bulldogs. It is all but done. It is understood that Galvin will join the club on a 3.5-year deal, effective immediately. If it's done this week, probably today or tomorrow, while Origin's happening, like you mentioned, with a $165,000 transfer fee. The lure of playing under Serraldo was huge, but you mentioned his coach from Westfields and Luke Vella as well. Yeah. Apparently, Parramatta came in with a late offer that topped the Bulldogs, but he decided to go to the Bulldogs, obviously. Galvin's arrival could also have direct consequences to off-contract halfback Toby Sexton, incumbent 5'8" Matt Burton. There are reports that the Bulldogs are eyeing Galvin as a number 13, but to date his best position is number 6, which is a spot the Bulldogs are well stocked in. There's also chat over the last couple of days now with Reed Marnie as well, where Bailey Hayward fits in. So I'll ask you a tough question. What is Lachlan Galvin's done? He's signed.
Sort of tough question. It'd be if I was coach, what would I do?
Yep.
Pretty much.
What's your 176, 13, 9?
Our best one, just saying like a couple of weeks.
What's yours if you were to make the decision? 1, 6.
I'm putting Burton at 6, Galvin at 7. Still have Reed Marnie. I think he just had a couple of off games.
Yep.
And then he's still got what's the name at the back? Connor Tracy.
So Sexton's your guy that misses out.
Yeah.
And
everyone would just say, like, everyone was going, oh, we need a front row, we need more middles. We got fucking Leo Thompson for you. We need a half. We can't win a half without. We got fucking Lockie Galvin now. Now we just got to sort it out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's all we can do is sort it out. Who fits with who? Where can we do? What can we do? What are we doing with Reed Marnie? What are we doing with Connor Tracy? Is he he played one bad game on the weekend. Everyone's ready to shoot him down. Reed Marnie, he's had a couple of games where he's giving away some bad penalties and everything. They want to fucking shoot him down. They've been pretty good all year. Okay. Right? Let's just get through this Origin period, try and win as many games as we can. And Lockie Galvin comes in there. He plays off the bench for the first couple of games. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't come in. He doesn't come in and genuinely.
Bailey Hayward, Lachlan Galvin, and Kurt Mann off the bench, or would Kurt Mann have to start at 13?
Kurt Mann starts at 13.
Starts at 13.
Because Salmon's out already.
Okay, yep.
You know,
fair.
so like, and Galvin, like they're just gonna have like, and training the way that the Bulldogs train, it's fucking intense. They play game speed sort of thing.
Yep.
Game speed. So if Lockie Galvin can come straight in, fit into what we're doing, I don't know what can happen. This is a Serraldo. This is a Serraldo. Fucking all right. Let's sit back and see what pieces fall in, and the Sexton still fit in. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Sexton's obviously trying to get out, right? Does he try and get out now before June 30? Right?
I would if I was his manager.
Well, yeah, you're trying to. Yeah, you're trying to. So you're probably talking to the Tigers. You're probably talking to some other potential clubs,
Back
whatever.
to Gold Coast.
You know, like something like that. You know, when you sign Galvin, you know that you're not wanted because he's a half, right?
Correct.
And this is a business where people need to understand. We understand how great the club's going and everything like that, but we want to win a competition, a premiership. They don't think they could win with Sexton, so you get fucking Galvin. You know, you try and load up with Leo Thompson in the middle to try and galvanise that whole middle, right? Try and get it stronger. You Max King's playing orange. You got Kick-Out Preston, all these sort of blokes. Yeah, we got that, right? Centres, outside backs, we got that. Now we've got Galvin. We've got a great bench. We've got good depth. We can fucking have a crack at it. A decent crack. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win fucking premierships. We're not trying to get the prelims and get fucking knocked out.
Yep.
Right? People need to understand that, it might ruin the whole fucking... No, it's not. It's a business. Players understand. You can have your best mate there for a couple of years. Next minute, he's gone before June 30. He could be at the Redcliffe. He could be at the Warriors. He could be anywhere. That's a business. And I think these kids, these young men are used to that now. When we were playing in 2000s, if this happened, we'd be like, what? How did that happen? But the rules and everything like that mean that this is going to happen.
Even though we don't like it.
We hate it, these kids, but I think these young men are used to it. They're like, okay, well, this guy could be gone. Like, you know, you're sitting in, you're a decent player, and you go, I could get a crack at a starting spot at the Tigers if I'm Sexton. I'm not going to play here and play reserve grade. This Galvin kid's a gun. I'm not better than him. You know what I mean? Like, if you're somewhere else, you get another off. That's how these things work. You know, we're going to get as many pieces of the puzzle as we can to fit and to win a competition, and then sort the rest out. We just want everyone in the building, and then we sort it out.
Do you think he's the final piece?
He's the final piece.
Do you think
I honestly think so.
Do you think he can play 7 with Burton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It'd be like similar to like a Moses and fucking Cleary.
Oh, that's a...
You know, I'm just saying, like they both play...
So
7 and 6, they're just like, you can play on both sides of the ruck. Imagine if you just say we're all left side, we're predominantly left side. Yep. We always go left because Birdo kicks and that's it.
Yep.
So then you just have, all of a sudden you've got Galvin, Preston, Critter, and Carraz.
Dangerous edge.
And then your left edge, you've got Birdo, Kicks, Cherry, and Montoya. And then the fullback just sweeping around your middles. Max King, Leo Thompson. I'm not sure what they're doing. Reed Marnie, Preston, Kicks, Lock could be fucking anyone's. You know, so you're looking at a premiership winning team.
It's a good team. My hesitation is I think I would prefer to have 2 7s playing halves on each side. He's going to have to be on board, and he's going to have to take control. Yeah. And he's going to have to be like a 7 because Matty Burton, for me, has proven over time now that he's not really that guy. Like, that doesn't suit his style. That doesn't suit his personality. No. So does Lockie play like 60-40 and be ball dominant, come into a winning culture that's been killing it from an unproven West Tigers team and just go, all right, I'm the guy now?
Yeah, I think he's got that swag.
Have to be.
I think he's got that swag about him. And Birdo just stays on that left edge and he can do what he wants to do. You know what I mean? So I think as he comes in and he just plays both sides of the ruck. He does whatever he wants. He's a football player. He's on ball. He's fit as hell. He just likes attacking. He can tack the right side, left side, be over, coming out on sweeps out the back. He can, I think he's a player that you just want in your building. Now we've got him in the building. Now we need to figure out what position he is. And that's where coaching comes in.
All right, here's another question. He's a player you want in the building. It seems like he was a player they didn't want in the building with the West Tigers and the way it all went.
Yeah.
One of the leaders in the team, or a couple of leaders in the team, or 3 of them, and the 2 that were the most outspoken, and I don't think anyone's been talking about this, right?
Yeah.
It's Jerome Luai. They talked about team first, and Sunil, in our opinion, we both said this went probably way over the top with what he did. And then Uppy has been strong in his stance in with respecting and being behind Benji during this whole period.
Yep.
He's left that culture with 3 guys that are really good friends with Stephen Crichton. You just placed Lachlan Galvin on the right edge with Stephen Crichton. Do you have any concerns with Jerome having conversations with Stephen and going,
no,
he ain't that guy?
No, not really. I think the conversations that they're going to have, right, and then that'll get into Critter's head, and then Critter's got to have that relationship with Galvin. He's not going to judge Galvin by Luai, right? Even though they're friends.
You would like to think so.
Yeah, he would. But
but you can influence me though, mate.
He's going to influence him. No, he will.
So let me add this. I give everyone the time of day, no matter what. Like you can tell me before, and we've been teammates before with someone, and you've come in and gone, he's a flog.
Yeah.
And then I'll go, all right, I think he's probably a flog to begin with, but then it's up to him whether he changes that narrative, right? So you're still going to have that in the back of their mind for sure to begin with, because they're groomsmen, like they're best men. They're so Jerome, and I'm not saying that Jerome has said this, and I'm not saying that Sanui or Appy have said this, but I've just looked at that dynamic and gone, everyone's talking about like,
I think there's going to be a good word.
Fit.
I don't think there's going to be
for
many
sure
good words.
There isn't. You think so, right?
He has a big job when he comes to the Bulldog way, the Bulldog culture, buy into it, and earn everybody's respect.
Yep.
Before he gets anything.
Because arguably that's the most important thing that you've been building under Cam Serrato, this new Bulldogs team, is work first, team first mentality.
Earn everything.
You've had, for a lot of people, they're not the most talented players, but there's a culture there and there's a buy-in.
Hard work.
And now you're removing a piece that has done a great job in Toby Sexton, whilst admittedly me looking at it going, I don't think he is the player, the way the team's constructed to get you guys over the hump, and bringing in a guy that is unproven but with a high ceiling that could potentially unsettle it. Potentially. So
I agree.
I find it very intriguing. I can't wait to see, and I'm rooting for Lockie because I don't, even though I've only met him a couple of times, he's been to me, he's been a good kid, and I wish him all the best, but I know what footy players are like, mate. And we're a very tight-knit community, and I would be very surprised if there weren't people within the Tigers or close to people with the Bulldogs going, good luck.
Especially when you go, he didn't do a fucking preseason with us. We train different. You know what I mean? Like, you got these little things. I heard he's a fuckwit, because of the terms that he's left on. There's not going to be very many people going, yeah, he's a fucking...
What do you mean he didn't do a preseason?
No, I'm just saying, look, when you do preseasons with people, you do it and you build that bond, right?
Yeah.
You build that brotherhood and everything like that. Because he didn't do that with that team, it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just little.
Sorry, yes.
He
hasn't done a preseason.
He hasn't done a preseason with Bulldogs. The Bulldogs preseasons where you build a lot of things, and like you build that with your brotherhood, and you build it all. So he didn't do that, which is not his fault, which is the circumstantial. But he has to earn everybody's respect.
Yep.
From fucking the 30th man on the roster to the first guy on the roster to the coaching staff to everybody,
to the gear steward,
everybody,
to the people around the club,
everybody. He ain't gonna, and I think he's a good kid. I think he's all right. I think he's like.
I think he is too.
Because it's a big thing with the Bulldogs. We don't want fuckwits.
I'm rooting for him. I feel really bad for Toby Sexton. I like Toby Sexton as a kid and a player as well.
That comes down to the business, isn't it?
It is, and it's a shitty business at times. Yeah. And I hope, like, not to say that I didn't think Toby Sexton was a premiership winning half, but I didn't think he was a premiership winning half at the Bulldogs. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I feel like you need some more better pieces around a guy like Toby Sexton if you're going to go win a comp. And the Bulldogs team is good, but I just think, they've overachieved in a way in the last couple of years, and they're trending the right way. But with Lockie Galvin, I do think they're a premiership threat, like a proper one.
Yeah.
A proper one. Because I always thought there were more talented teams that weren't playing to their level, like as in not the Broncos playing to their own level, but or the Storm playing to their own level, but the consistency in what the Bulldogs played with. Now you had Lockie Galvin, and they've just got that little bit of X factor, which makes me think in a game that's going toe to toe, which I know they're capable of playing, Lockie could come up with something special.
You got to think about,
and I didn't think that Toby could do that outside of the structure.
We're looking at Lockie Galvin and just say young Mitch Woods, right? They're the ones that you want to be 1/2 and 5/8 for 10 years.
Okay, well then where does that leave
That's
Matty
what
Burton?
I'm just saying. I mean, like, that mightn't happen for another 2 years, 2 or 3 years. Burdo could move to lock. I don't know, like just little things like that. So that's what we've got to potentially look at. The future of the Bulldogs, is because Galvin is 19 years old, and so is young Mitch Woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could come together, like, and obviously Woods, he's played a lot. He's played a hell of a lot more first grade than Mitch Woods, but they look at Woodsy as that young kid coming through the system that could be a half for like 10 years. You don't know. He's still developing.
Yep.
But like, and then like Birdo comes off contract in 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
2 years. You know, he mightn't. You know, he could be here, he could be there. He might want to stay. He could go overseas. I'm not sure what he wants to do. He could stay. I don't know. He could change positions. It's weird. Like, it's just like we just need to you need to stack the depth up. And we're trying to be winning premierships, not for fucking 1 year. We want to be in the fucking next 5 to 10 years. Just be around all the time.
Perfect. And I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's great if you're looking at it from a Bulldogs perspective. If you're
I am.
And you want to, you know, what you want to run a team that way. And Sticky's been the same with the Canberra Raiders, right? He's been talking about not wanting to lose Fogarty, but also not wanting to, you know, drip feed Sanders into the team down at Canberra. Yeah, it's all good if you're the coach and you understand the bigger picture for the club. These younger guys, like, who's to say that Ethan Sanders was happy with Fogarty for another year down at Canberra?
Yeah.
Who's to say Mitch Woods is now looking at this opportunity going, well, fuck 2 years.
Where's my pathway?
Like, I don't want to wait fucking Matty Burton 3 years.
The pathway was after Sexton.
There we go. And like, so that's where conversations and look, don't get me wrong. You have the best in the business running it in a guy like us to temper everything, calm everyone down.
And Matty Burton can play centre as well.
Bronson Sherry and Stephen Crichton. There are
Critter can play fullback and Sherry can play right centre.
There are so many hypotheticals.
So many moving parts.
There are so many moving parts.
We just need to get the right combinations right.
Okay. We'll see. There's so many. I guess there's going to be more about this over the next couple of days. I think it'll. Now that Gus has at least addressed it and had it on 100% footy last night, that'll be it for now.
Yeah,
we'll get into
after Origin.
We'll get into Origin, depending on how game 1 goes. Like, that could determine how much we talk about it in the following episodes. But we will be talking about it on Monday next week. I can guarantee you that. So, when
he walks into the building, that's when it's going to be fucking mayhem. Yeah. I was getting stuff from Channel 7 yesterday. Is he going to be in the building? I said, I don't think he's walking into that building for a couple of weeks, maybe a week or 2, but definitely not tomorrow.
You're the coach. You're Cam. I'd want to get him in the building as quickly as possible. You need to get him acclimated.
Got to get in there, signed and everything. I don't think the deal's been proper guaranteed signed yet. All that sort of shit needs to happen probably in the next couple of days while Origin plays. Right? Could be tomorrow signed. Could be walking in. Could be walking in Thursday morning.
What if he had a change of mind?
Yeah. Just because of Shamus. Just because of Shamus.
We imagine, no. Just like, fuck it. That's a hypothetical that we could just go and go on a massive tangent with. But if he wanted to proper fuck up the Bulldogs,
I'll miss my flight before we go here.
On the way out, that'll be.
Mate, it's good. It's good. It's good news for the Bulldogs. It's good, and it's better for Galvin. He's got everything settled now.
Yep,
it's over. You've done it, kid. Welcome to the Dog Pound.
Welcome to the Dogs. Few conversations with Mace at Belmore. We'll do him.
I want to see how far. I want to have a conversation with how tall he is.
Did you not see him at the golf day last year?
I did, but I didn't really. I saw him. He's 6'3".
I reckon.
Is he your height?
I reckon he's got me covered. Yeah, 6'4", 6'5".
If you really want to, you can just mold him into like a yowie.
That's why I always compared him to Nico, just with heights, movement, lankiness, and then Nico's
thick.
But that's what I always said. He was 19 years old, mate.
Yeah, but he didn't have legs like that, mate.
I remember Nico as a 19.
I'm telling you.
And whenever I use that example, I always forget to bring in a picture of Nico in the 20s and show you what he looked like. Anyway,
he was still squatting 260.
That's when he was a young buck.
Like he can't do the bar.
He's going to have to do some weights at the
Bulldogs. Mate, you're going to have to work. Whatever you've been lifting over there, triple it.
But that's when he was a young buck. Let's get to your OG Bull of the week.
All right. Hardest game of the week, Canberra versus the Warriors. That was the only game I got right. right? I think it's the only one that mattered. Who cares? Joey Tapine, Joey Taps, my boy. I didn't even look at the stats or anything, but fuck, they needed him. Going over there, going against that Warriors side who are on fire. I know, and I said they were going to miss Fish and they're going to miss Barnett. I think if they had those two, I think they would have won. Even more so, considering the gameplay and the conditions. Yeah, but how he just, I know when he's got that look in his eye, right? It's fucking, it's mental. He was frustrated. He's really frustrated, and then you could see him come in on third mans and just crack ribs. Yeah. You see him have a crack at everyone. He was sticking up for his players, having a go at I was borderline nearly getting fucking sent for 10. It was a rough game by the G-Man. He's one of the G-Man, didn't he? Oh, G-Man held it. He held it together. Well, he had a bad game. You reckon? G-Man had a really bad game. Yeah. I didn't notice him. I only saw him when he sent the bra off for 10. Yeah. Did you see that? For a crusher tackle? Yeah, but it was a crusher tackle? It was just 4-5 penalties in a row. So that was undisciplined. Anyway, so Joey Taps, I'm not sure what his meterage was, but like just his presence and the way that this young sort of pack got behind him and they stood up to that fucking the Warriors team and they grinded it out for that last fucking 10 minutes, mate, and he was leading the way. He was inspirational. It was just a real proper captain's knock. Yeah. You know, they needed him. Big Papa did his own thing, but they missed Huddy Young. Fucking Huddy Young on that left edge. Simsangi that timing was right off on that left edge, wasn't it? Just off. Just a little like bit, Strange. They're just overrunning, you know, where Huddy Young knows the timing of Strange, but no Nicholson as well. So both their back rows. Pretty but they won it through the middle, which is very rare. Especially against the Warriors this year. Yeah, and even Starling, they won the game with 12 people. Their Starling was off for the last 10 minutes. So it was like it sucked. So that's the man, Joey Taps, on a mission. You can tell that those sorts of games meant a lot to certain Kiwi players. Yeah, he's a captain. He's captain in New Zealand and shit, and he's and it means a lot, doesn't it? You know, being over there playing against the Warriors, playing against your own people. He had family members there. He's got family members, and he had to be the big dog out there, and he was. All right, outstanding. Scope's young buck for this week, Mace, is from the Sydney Roosters, Xavier Va'a. So, big boy. I've always said Roosters are the best at developing talent, right? They've got the best nursery in rugby league. And New Zealand. Hey? New Zealand. But what about those youngsters? Like the performance, and I remember it was back in round 2 where I wrapped a number of debutants that are playing for the Roosters, and it is a huge season for what they're trying to do at the club, and they're going through a bit of a cycle now, and they've got a couple of young, exciting players. When I looked at Xavier Va'a coming like pre-game and coming onto the field, he's got the look of a first grader. I like his size. He looks like he's just moving and up and down the sidelines. Big tick. Then he comes onto the field and he has a strong run straight onto the field. Almost front. He didn't have to fight, slow any momentum. He must have got a really good communication out to Zach Docker play. Little late footwork, finds his front, bang, up and down off the ground. First carry, tick. Then his second touch. That's the best. Off the proper OG. I thought he was going to be your OG ball of the round. Victor Radley was fucking outstanding. He comes and gets a little tap back. He links up through the middle. I'm looking for an OG to an OG in James Tedesco. No, it's an OG to a young buck. He just went, stay back, Teddy. I got this. Xavier Va'a through the middle. Second touch. Yeah, I love it. Tick. Try. Then. This is first grade for you, son. Then he's standing off the kickoff, and for whatever reason, the Sharks were down, so they must have been anticipating a short kickoff. So there's no catcher with him. And he is standing in the in-goal line, calling for the ball. Catcher? He's calling for the ball like this, like he's the Rock, from WWE. Or was he calling for someone to come back and catch it for him? No. He's calling for the ball. He wanted it. Yes. Like he's the Rock waiting for the next contestant for the Royal Rumble. Just bring it. He's going, give it to me. They kicked it to him, it went straight over his head. I didn't know he was calling it like that. I thought he was going to get back here. He wanted it. That's even better. So let me take you back, Mace. Come on. Maybe about 3 or 4 minutes before that, he scores the try, plants it down, and I'm just like, how good's this? Yeah. Bravo's up in the box. Everyone. And then they cut to his fans. I reckon there was 50. Maybe 10,000 fans, or 10 to 15,000 fans at Gosford for the game. 5,000 of them were for Xavier Va'a. Did you see his gang? You had a section. Yeah, you had a section. Did you see his gang and all the shirts? I love it. So he goes like this. He scores the try. He gives them a wave. Yeah. He's pumped.
He's had 2 carries, one of them's a try. And they're beating a team that they're supposed to lose.
Love it.
And then he's standing off the kickoff going, come on,
Bring it.
So they kick it to him.
He fucking just goes, oh, shit.
He goes, this, he goes, fuck.
You know what I love that? You know what I love? After the game, him and the 14, the other rookie,
Yeah.
they were both taking the piss out of
Yeah.
each other. He's like, oh.
I think what's the young fella's name?
He
We'll get
played a
his
good
name.
game too.
I like
He's
him.
geez.
I like
Yeah,
him. Let me get his
they're-
name so we try to get him pronounce it
I
right.
think that's why they weren't really
He's got a difficult name to pronounce.
stress on the cheese if you got that little fella at 9.
Yeah, I can see that.
You still have Connor Watson off the bench.
I can see that. Yep. And Zach Dr. Clay's been doing a job
Doc,
for him as
yeah.
well. Benaya, potentially.
Benaya. Yeah, it's
Yalu.
Benaya. It's Benaya. Yeah.
Benaya,
Yeah.
Yalu.
Yoey, yeah.
It's
called Benaya.
I like him. He's
Just
a good player.
Benaya.
So those two were fucking around. They both made their debut.
Good on
I'm
him.
taking the piss about him catching the ball and going over, but
I love
there's a couple of good youngsters there, and we're going to get into this game a little
Steve.
bit later on. I love Steve.
Steve's going to play Origin, I reckon.
Ooh, that's a huge call.
I reckon he's going to play Origin.
But I like him.
Yeah.
I really like him. And we'll get to Fiketti and Lasalu in a bit as well. But Xavier Vata for the just 10-minute cameo of doom that you had.
Yeah. Love you, kid.
That's the energy you want. Like when you're a team and you're missing a whole bunch of vets and there's a little bit of carry on and you've got 500 in the crowd and you think you're the Rock and you've just thrown about 3 or 4 over the ropes and you're waiting for the next contestant. Let's go, bruh. Let's
Royal
go.
Rumble.
Come on. And then all of a sudden Stone Cold comes in.
The
gives-
Brahma Bull.
and then throws you over the rope.
Just a kick to the head. Stone Cold stunning him.
Oh, Stone Cold
Oh,
stunner.
God, that was great. I love it. And that's the beauty of this round. I mean, we could talk about the footy that the level wasn't up to it, but then seeing young kids like that get their debuts, score a try.
Awesome.
Fucking unreal.
Awesome.
Unreal.
Yeah, so congratulations to both debutants and all the debutants that made their debut over the weekend.
Yeah.
Mace has to get up to Gold Coast, so we're just going to forego a few of the questions for this week, and we're going to get straight into our predictions for the Origin game. Unless I'm missing anything else. No, that's it. That's it. All right, let's get to it, Mace.
Yeah.
Your team, New South Wales, and you got the 13+ jumper on with the Hello Sports boys. So I have a fair idea where you're going.
24-10. 24-10, I reckon.
Oh, wait, let's just start. Let's stop.
Sorry.
We're going to work into chronological order of how things should play out in the game.
So
it's the kickoff, and we're not Xavier Vata. We're not going like this. We're going to catch it off the kickoff. And then, therefore, you receive the ball, you can go, you have some momentum.
Let's go.
You have gone a bit of value for your first try scorer, and I've got a good price for him any time. When we were breaking down the spines last week, I think people misunderstood our critique of Reece Robson. We had a bit of an inside joke before.
Yeah.
We love him as a player.
It was an inside joke, yeah.
But you think he's going to be the first try scorer?
I think he's going to be first try scorer because I think they're just going to be they have so much attention on Payne Haas, Mitch Barnett, Isaiah Yeo, Cleary at the back, so much diversion. I think he might find a little sneaky little dummy in Burrow.
I love the play.
I don't mind it, especially if you find him Ponga at that lazy A, the shadow, a little bit of a shadow A, and then they check a little bit on that lead, and then they're fucking on their bike,
trying to get on his job too
so
quickly.
This is me just thinking pretty wildly.
No,
And
you've always got to play it out.
Reece Robson, I just think they're just going to be all over everybody else, and I think there might be a little bit of a gap for him.
Okay.
And even if it's like maybe a little line break, he might be just following up in the middle. So, be good value. Good value.
Yep. Sorry, I was just getting the prices up for tab too because we don't have our man Lukey in here at the moment.
$34 and $6.50 anytime.
Yep. So there we go. Reece Robson, for those with the tab, he's paying $34 to score first. Like May said, $6.50 anytime. I'm going a guy that's just proven. It was his teammate from the Cowboys about 2 or 3 years ago. Whenever he plays for Queensland, I feel like he scores. I'm going Hamiso Tabuai for dough. $13 to score first, and I think he saluted for me before in the past.
He's fucking.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. I think we've got him. I believe he scored first for us in Adelaide. Remember a couple of years ago?
He did. Yeah, he did.
And he was paying like 17s or 18s. We don't get that price anymore because he's a noted try scorer now, and he's proven, right? And that's a big part. I think he was unproven a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no one thought anything.
And I wanted to go the other side. I really wanted to go because I love young players on debut, Robert Toya, but he's going against Latrell. And I just couldn't bring myself to...
Hammer's going against Critter, right?
Yeah, I know.
And is it a cork? Is it a strain?
Attack the cork. I want Hammer to attack the
But
cork.
you just need to be, you know, those little kicks that they put in.
Yeah.
You know, Harry Grant's so tricky around, you know, the turn and chase, you know, because Hammer is so quick off the start. Look, I'm not saying, you know, I want him not to score, but, you know, Critter's turn and chase mightn't be fucking right there, you know, as powerful as it should be or where it can be. Hopefully it is to stop the Hammer, but because he's a proven, genuine fucking Origin player.
And it's very hard to score from set plays, right? So if
you're not going to get him just a long shift, block for block for block, then it's man on man with Critter. He's going to fucking monster you.
I can picture just money dropping, nothing on. Oh, look, just dribble one through in behind the line, just in that little sweet spot in no man's land.
There it is.
Hammer, the quickest player.
Even
out of the 34 players playing in the Origin, maybe he gets there a little bit quicker.
Even if you just say those little plays where they're going, just say if you're at the right post where you got Tino leading, then another lead deep into Munster, and you brought the centres up, just that little kick that Cleary does, and then they fucking fly through.
Oh,
what I mean?
What about then another version?
On the ground, or up in the air? So just like that little chip that Money's really good at. So is Cleary, because you bring the line up. So Critter can't, and you either go and the wing is back a little bit, but the fucking centre has a clean run at the ball, and you just jump up. And I think that'll be on for Critter as well. I think that'll be on for all centres.
Yeah,
just to bring them up, because you got to bring them up. If you don't bring it up, if you don't come up, then
they'll
just
sit back in the pocket.
You sit back, mate. You can't, and the centres never sit back in a pocket, especially when it's 10 metres out, 10 or 15 metres out. They've got to come up and shut it down.
Sounds like you're more excited about my try scorer than
I am now.
I can also.
I just see. If I can see, imagine if it happens like that.
I can just see. I can also see another little short side option. Hopefully, Xavier Coates is on my left winger going toe to toe, and I think they will keep him. Tap back inside.
Tap back all on the floor. Tap that.
All right. So that is the start of the match. The finish of the match. Finishing the match, you have New South Wales winning 24-10 to Queensland with what's the Schultz? Pop the jumper up. Yeah. Pop the jumper up.
The Hello Sports Boys a couple of years ago.
You still got it. It's a vintage 13 plus jumper.
I just think I think we've got more tries in them, obviously. I think our defence is going to be fucking on point. I don't want Hammer to score first.
No.
Because that just brings the crowd into it. Like, that could really start a leak. I think we've got probably, 3 or 4 tries in us easily. Up there, we've got a lot of danger. I don't give a shit if it's fucking 14-2. No, I do, actually, because that won't be 13 plus.
Yeah, you need your 13 plus.
16-2 or something like that. I don't know. It's all defense. This whole game is predicated on defense. And I think we've just picked a bunch of workers, hard hitters, fit blokes. Payne Haas has passed his test, hasn't he? He's ready to roll.
He's ready to roll.
They gave him till Monday. He's got through that. I'm not sure on Critter right now. I think right now I'm not sure what time they do the captain's run. It's later, right? It's in the... So they'll do it later tonight.
He copped a Dwight York on Sunday.
I hope it's a York. York. I hope it is a cork because he's been carrying a groin strain, right?
Yep.
And then if your body fucking.
Do you think there is there's people north of the border that have been questioning whether he's even injured? It's a tactical thing.
It's not tactical. You don't fucking walk off on D. They call it D2, which is one of the hardest sessions, right?
Okay.
2 days before training.
Yep.
D2 is one of the fucking it's intense, right?
Yep.
So you're trying to really fucking get out of the blocks flat out, really crisp sort of ball work, a lot of defense, your last sort of hard hitting sort of session before today's captain's run, which is a bit of a breeze,
Yeah.
So could be a cork. I hope it's a cork because you can get through that shit.
Yeah.
Strain.
It's a pain in the ass though.
Fuck it. Who cares? Yeah. You're going to get hit. Doesn't matter.
That's why it was good to have skinny legs like myself. You couldn't cork my legs. They're too skinny.
The cork's underrated. Corks are very underrated. But I hope it's just the cork right in the middle there.
Yep.
Because when it's in the middle there, you just don't know. Does it feel like a strain? Because you don't have.
It becomes a strain.
Feels like a strain. Because you can't get the stretch on it.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's like that, and then the intensity of the game and just the fucking adrenaline, you're going to get through.
So stand by for a couple of players and to watch out for late changes potentially if it was to happen. Campbell Graham has been a part of camp the whole time. He would go straight into right centre, you would think.
Yep.
And then also Laurie came out and said that if there was anything wrong with Payne Haas, Stefano would go straight into the starting lineup. So that was interesting that Laurie. I think if Laurie's saying that, then he knows Payne's sweet, because that's not something that
you wouldn't even.
You wouldn't say that, right?
Nah.
Unless Laurie's just too honest for his.
Yeah, got him.
All right, let's get to my scoreline. I think Queensland are going to win in a nail biter. I find it really hard to break down this New South Wales team if fully fit. But it's Suncorp. There are two huge ins, which I've got for my player of the match, which I'm going to get to, which you've just probably seen, I think, Mace.
Yeah.
I've got Queensland winning a close one, 4 tries apiece, 1 missed kick to New South Wales, because I think the try is going to be scored on the edges. Queensland 24 defeat New South Wales 22. Queensland to win by 1 to 12 margin is $3.60.
I don't mind that.
In order for the player of the match for New South Wales to win in the fashion that they win, you've got a player who has been questioned in this arena going on to win the player of the match, and your player of the match is
Nathan Cleary. I had a good chat to him, I think last year, and then he got injured, right? It was at the True Blues thing, and I was like, I think, it was.
He was injured already.
Yeah, I think he was injured already, but he was there supporting his boys on.
Yep.
And we had a really good chat about just, about how all the greats get rated only because of Origin. If you could be the greatest club player of all time and you've played shit in Origin or haven't dominated Origin as a half or anything like that, you just get left off the fucking greats.
He definitely needs to tick that box.
And I think he's been waiting for this opportunity and he hasn't said fucking anything.
No.
It's all been about all these other guys and he's just been laying in the cut. And I think he's going to go, fucking, this is mine. I'll fucking show everyone this. I belong here and I'll dominate this whole thing. And so for him to get the whole Wally Lewis medal and everything like that, he's got to dominate up there. He has to. He has to have man of the match. Has to have it. And I want him to get it.
You know when I've watched those Panthers documentaries, and you know how when I've tipped the Panthers, I've always said they've needed a reason. Like this year when I've tipped the Panthers, when they were underdogs against who did I have them when I tipped them against the Roosters because I knew that was going to be a revenge game for them. I tipped them against someone else because I just knew that they were going to be up for the game. They've played so much meaningful footy over the years, and even going back to the documentaries I watched on Penrith, they've always had themes. So that's an Ivan thing. That's a Ciraldo thing. That's been ingrained in him in for the last 4 or 5 years. Like that's now he has a reason within not only winning for New South Wales, but there are doubts within the state whether he can get it done from certain people.
14 Origins. That's fucking a lot.
He's seen his good friend Jerome go and get it done with his now partner Mitch last year, and I think he is going to be on a.
He's going to be on a tear. Yeah, he has to be for us to win. For us to win, Nathan Cleary. They say he's the best player in the world.
Yep.
They say everything like that. In the last 5 years, he's been the best player in the world. You only get judged on this shit, and he knows it too because we had a laugh. I said to the guys like the JTs and Joeys and all these greats, they sit on this fucking Pantheon, and they're like because they've had fucking 3 or 4 Wally Lewis medals and they've dominated Origin, and they can sit there and until you do that. Which I want you to do that, you know what I mean? Then they'll put you there, you know what I mean? Other than that, you're just going to be sitting around, even like that, they're hesitant to put Cooper Cronk anywhere near that because Cooper Cronk was nowhere near like JT or Lockie or any of those guys.
Yeah, okay.
He can't. Yeah, I'm just telling you how it is. You come into the system, right? He come into the system. They were hesitant about putting Cooper Cronk into the system. You know what I mean? Because because he was coming off the bench, and everything like that. They didn't know because if he had to force his way in there, put JT at 6, and then he come in there and then he dominated.
Okay, all right, we're running out of time here, but that's we know the narrative around Nathan. Yeah, we're talking about that. I put this down, so not only do I believe in this play, but I know this is going to piss you off.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
because of the chat that I had.
I've gone Tino Fasua Mala'awi. Yeah. When I watched the way that they got rolled in game 2 last year, there was a couple of guys that really stood out. One of them was a good mate of ours, and he does some stuff with us, and I think he's going to have a huge say in this series as well, Cam Munster.
Big time.
The other one through the middle was Big Tino. They got bullied. Payne bullied them in game 2 and was close to man of the match and probably deserved man of the match if he wasn't taken off by Madge at the time. Madge. Cam Murray had joy.
Crichton
and Latrell on the edges went through the middle. Tino's going to take this personally.
He should.
He's the guy. And you've talked about he's the missing piece. I think everyone pops their chest up a little bit more when Tino's within the team. And I think he's going to have a huge say if Queensland are to do anything in this game at Queensland. Big Tino through the middle. 26s for my man, Big Tino.
I understand what you're saying. I love Tino, right? I told you I had a conversation with him for about an hour down in Maroubra, and this was on his fucking list.
Ooh, okay.
What you're saying now, he goes, because him and Payne are quite good mates, but
Yes.
on the field, fucking kill each other.
Have to.
There's a reason why Payne Haas dominated Origin last year, because he hadn't done it before. Tino didn't play. They cancel each other out. They're going to be going at each other. Tino's their man. He's their bully. They got bullied last year, as you said.
Agreed.
Right? Understand if Crichton's going to be trying to get a DCE, you know he's going to be coming across cleaning ribs up. Ruben Cotter and him, they've got to stop Crichton. You know what I mean? So they can't go short sides. But Tino is hell bent on getting this whole thing.
I love that you brought up Ruben Cotter because I thought about Ruben Cotter and Paddy Carrigan. I think it frees them up to do what they do best. They become battering rams last year.
Take care of the fucking the big boy can take care of the other big boy.
Yeah, so
then they go.
Yes, they could because they were just battering rams. Yeah. They were just making their tackles and taking one-out hit-ups because they just had no one else that could get on the front foot. Yeah. So Tino back, he is my player of the match, and you can get Tino for $26.
Oh, look at your Wally Lewis medal.
All right. And
you're the best. I fucking didn't look at that. Yeah?
I've gone wide, you've stuck with Nathan Cleary for your Wally Lewis medal. He has to have a big game at Suncorp.
Yeah, that's it.
We've basically talked about all the things around Nathan Cleary.
That's it. No, is it. That's it. I need him to get this.
I've gone left field. I've gone and I've copied the arc, the arc that Angus Crichton,
Triumph
that New South Wales had last year with a guy that was humbled at the start of the season playing New South Wales Cup for the Sydney Roosters. He fought his way back in. He played great club footy before he got in the Origin period. And then he cemented his position as the back row this year. I'm talking about Angus Crichton for the New South Wales Blues. I see the same arc for my man Jeremiah Nanai. So he goes through a humbling experience at the start of the year, dropped after round one, demolished by Manly. He is made to be the scapegoat for the left edge. He's dropped. He works his way back in. He doesn't sulk. He goes to Queensland Cup. He carves up. Then he has 2 games off the bench for the Cowboys. Now he's in the team. He's been playing the best footy that I've seen Jeremiah play in his short career. And I talked about Tino stepping up, but he's going to require Paddy Carrigan. He's going to require Ruben Cotter. And when I look at, I don't know where they're going to line up, who's going to be on what edge. With Jeremiah Nanai, and I'm having a blank now on the Ruben Cotter's in the back row. But I'm expecting the back rowers to have huge games, and I hope because I can. He's
going to get the dog of all dogs if he's on that left edge.
Not that he will completely rule him out, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a late change and Jeremiah starts from the bench. That's why I was reluctant to have him as player of the match.
Fucking oath. I thought you were going to go with Tino.
I am Tino. But this is why I was reluctant to go Jeremiah player of the match because you just don't know with the late changes. You've got both of them all on the bench and there could be, you know what Billy's like and coaches. They always have a little tweak last minute. But if Jeremiah starts all 3 games, I'm backing him. I reckon he's in for a huge series. His club form's been excellent. His defense has been excellent. And we all know what he can do on attack. You're $41 about Jeremiah Nanai.
That's fair. Put $10 on it.
Sneaky little $10. That's all you need to do. That's 410 of the best.
Gamble responsibly, boys.
That's responsibly. So let's get to what I've done is for the same go multi, I've used a couple of my results, but I've also chucked in a little bit of Willie Mason into my multi as well. So my same game multi, I think it's going to be a close one. So I'll take the +3.5, the line for Queensland. And I've got Reece Robson to score anytime.
Be nice.
With your tip, Mace, and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow at $51. That is as juicy as it gets. You only have to have a little sneaky $5 on that. Something responsible and something to ride as we go into Origin 1. We cannot wait. By the way, once we get through Origin, once we get through this week, you've got a few big things coming up. You've got something special happening on Saturday with the 8th Immortal.
The 8th Immortal. We are both going to be at WYONG Leagues Club. We've got Joey Johns, myself. We'll be breaking down this Origin game, which will be great, plus all the other games, plus a couple of little war stories. So it'll be interesting to see both of us. Obviously, you're probably going to get the same bloke that you get on levels there, but getting the 8th up there, couple of little beers and breaking the Origin
So
down.
a few war stories, some Origin stories, some
Yeah, it'd be
Origin
great.
review, what's happening at the Knights.
Everything at the Knights, the
Yep.
whole year, what's going on with the game. Like, we're going to do Q&A from the crowd, but, it'll be good. Make sure you get your tickets.
All right, so we'll put this on a little clip, Lukey, and then we'll chuck the link in the clip. We got game 3 of the Women's Origin, but this is just to get in the way, or the Queensland team trying to prevent the first. You do not want to be on the back end of the first 3-game series sweep, and Queensland have made some changes to account for that. Tamika Upton, she's no longer the fullback. I'm not sure what the situation there, whether it's injury or whether she's been dropped.
Drop her, go on.
She had a rough game in game 2 though, Mace. So Hayley Maddock
okay.
is the new fullback, and another change in the crucial positions of the halves as well. Lauren Brown goes from dummy half to 7. Ali Brigginshaw goes to lock. Destiny Brill comes into the team, and she will be the starting 9. And then a few other changes in and around that. So the Queensland team are looking for a response.
Big changes, man.
Huge changes.
Big changes.
They were trying to get a result. They don't want to be the first team to be swept in a 3-game series
It's going to happen. Just
for the
suck it
women's
up.
format. But I can't see it not going that way. The New South Wales Women's Blues basically have a full deck of cards. So I'm looking at a few options here. And we saluted on Koenig in game 2. I think she's going to get player of the series.
Yep.
But very rarely do I like to go back-to-back. So we have odds for the player of the match, and I'm hoping for good conditions. I think they're going to be on the front foot. She was my value play last game outside of Koenig. Koenig was my play, but if you wanted to have a sneaky little $5 on something as a value, I gave you Abby Church.
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm going back with Abby Church for this game. I think if the conditions are good, it really gives them an opportunity to score some tries. I think she can run some good meters. I think she's getting even more comfortable.
She's good.
This will be her 3rd game. I think she's a gun. She's an out-and-out gun. You can get Abby Church for $34 at the tab. $34 for the starting fullback for the New South Wales team, which I envision winning, and I envision them winning by
13 plus.
13 plus. So give me the New South Wales and Parramatta Eels fullback, Abby Church, at $34. All right, mate, let's get to the games from the weekend. And just the 5. So a quick little recap over the weekend. Let's start with your Bulldogs against the Dolphins. The Dolphins were excellent, mate. And all the chat. And this is the part I felt was there was a little bit of disrespect towards the Dolphins. Yep. So you've got 3 players missing for Origin duties for your Bulldogs. You have a number of starters and role players that were missing for not only suspension but also injury. How about the Dolphins, though? No Hammer. Origin. No Jersey Flegler. I think he would have been playing Origin if he didn't get injured last week. Tom Gilbert would have been a part of the squad if he, but he hasn't played for about 18 months, and that's a $650,000, $750,000 player. Daniel Saifidi's been a great buy for them and was arguably their best front rower this year. Right. And then no Jeremy Marshall-King and no Max Plath. So not to say they're not missing as much, but they were missing some players as well. So credit to the Dolphins and what Christian Wolf is doing up there at the Dolphins post the WYONG era. But let's go with I want to start with Isaiah Katoa, and he didn't listen to our advice from last week when I thought he needed to show a little bit more urgency. In fact, he stayed right in the game plan. His tempo was outstanding, and he just knows how to work a team, and he's a highly impressive youngster, and he played those conditions really well.
Oh, he did. They were outstanding, the Dolphins. I think, we were woeful. We started off all right, but just penalties and drop balls and everything. Like, you can't beat anyone with that sort of completion rate, and the penalties, crucial penalties, undisciplined stuff. But credit to the Dolphins. 44 they put on us. Zero would be filthy on the last 15, 20s, letting four tries in. So they put a bit of a clinic on us. I think we're going all right until that try before half time. When they scored, when we I think Marnie tried to pass it, hit the ground. No, it hit the
Bostock's try.
But we should have finished the game.
Yeah, he tried to pass it to Matt Burton.
Finished on the ground, we knocked it on, then bang, bang, bang. We just missed a couple of cues there in defence and scored in the corner. I was like, fuck, I didn't know what they took it out to, but then they come back out and then just continued.
Yeah.
Conditions were awful. I'm just going to be one of those. I'm just going to be like, all right, forget about that game.
Okay, but for the Dolphins and a couple of players that played really well as well, I always like to start with the teams that win without talking about the teams that didn't get the job done. Jesus Sarko, for a player, he doesn't get enough credit. No. Joey was talking about Bostock being an origin smoky. They've got two really good wingers that I don't think would be breaking the bank. And the way in which they get in and do all the little things, they do the tough carries, they finish well. Asako can even kick a goal. Like, he hits
so good.
Those kicks that he had in the wet under pressure early on in the game were critical in them just sort of just having, you know what it's like, mates, when a try goes from 4 to 6 every time.
Yeah.
And I also thought Donahue was excellent as well when he took his licks early on. Reedy got in his face.
Yeah.
And with all this chat, I'm telling you, it's all this sort of chat that we're now hearing around Reedy, it's because I think the Bulldogs are just looking at games like this where he was a little bit sloppy and then
fires the opposition off.
He fires up the opposition. And he's been really good at reining it in this year because I feel like for sure there's been some communication around that. But credit to Donahue. I think he's going to be a great player for whoever signs him long term. To have that broken nose, come off the field, get his licks, get some revenge back on Reedy, and then also score a nice try at the end.
Their back five's fucking dangerous, man.
Solid.
Yeah, they got it. I was scared. I was scared about this game. I knew, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go the Dogs, but I'm like, the Dolphins are going to come down. We've been surviving, right, with these brilliant second half comebacks, but we got Critter out, we had Max King out and Carraz. They're important parts of that machine that goes, right? Yeah. You take those guys out and it's like, fuck, the replacement players just don't do that job like that. And I thought their outside backs outplayed us.
Yeah.
They were hitting us on the edge. They were really physical in defense. I said Stone hits like a fucking brick wall. Donahue. I think Mola fucking goes after it. Like, they hit really hard and they work hard for each other. And in conditions like that, they play to the conditions.
When I started doing the notes for this game on Friday, I was talking about the Sexton Tracy situation. This is before the Galvin news had broke too. And I wrote down, if I'm the Sexton Cam, I want to get a deal done elsewhere. I'm pulling the trigger. Because I reckon conditions were awful. He didn't play his best game. But I was looking at Sexton and Tracy.
Everyone played to play in it, didn't they?
Yeah. But my point is, with Sexton and Tracy, is that they look like they were carrying a burden. They look like they were playing heavier than the rain that was bringing them. I think, and I'm not giving them an excuse for anyone else, but with all the news that was floating around.
External pressure.
And this was before I found out the news about Galvin. This is Friday morning. I get up, I watch the game, I do my notes, and then I go and do radio, and then we find out about Galvin. That's what I read.
This is dealing with external pressure, right? Where a lot of players can't and they can.
Yes.
Right? And you can see that the weight of the world was on their shoulders.
For sure.
It looked like it, didn't it?
I think Sexton,
especially Sexton.
Tracy's feeling pressure as well.
Tracy was just dropping bombs and he doesn't usually make mistakes. I just think it was I'm just going to put it down to one of those games where we had our key players out. Dolphins played outstanding. We played dog shit. The end.
All right, let's move on. Eels get a victory against the Sea Eagles in the Scope Cup. Congratulations. They will take out the Scope Cup on aggregate for 2025. And what about the debut of Joash Papali? Put into the game 2 minutes into the game when Will Penasini went off. And have you seen his presentation from his dad?
No.
We've got a couple of minutes. You've got to watch it. I just want to get your reaction on it. We'll watch about a minute of it, and then that's enough.
He's a good kid. He's a Bulldogs junior.
Mate,
we got him
it's the best. It is the best.
They got a couple
of
our
guys. Have you seen it, Lukey? You would have seen it, surely. Yeah.
They got Kitione Katonga.
Hey guys, sorry, my name is Billy Papali. You probably all know I'm Joash's father. On behalf of our family, myself and my wife Margaret, and Joash's sisters and brother, and his favourite dog. Just want to say I love you, son. And you know what? I want you to go out there on Friday night and you add value to your teammates. God has blessed you. Yeah. All your family and cousins, even your grandpa and your grandma at home. I said, no, you got to stay home. And I want to acknowledge my other son, Junior Paulo, for his 250th. Sorry, Risey, these guys are all... These guys I used to take to Sunday school when they were all like that with Frank Pritchard and Mitch Lewis, Joe Ash's SG ball coach. It's amazing how God has prepared all this, you know. And also, Risey, I used to watch you, the big St. George front rower. Wow, boom. Ronald Volkman, my other son. Yeah, and the Penasini brothers. And also Ayongi used to battle out with Joe Ash in the cup level, you know, from Penrith. And then Charlie Gaima, Sam Tuivai-T. Oh, we're family. Oh, and my other son, Dean Hawkins. And I'm going to give it to your mum.
This is the best one. This is the best one I've seen. Oh, that's so good. Joe Ash. I've had a few moments with Joe Ash the last couple of years because he's been at the Bulldogs and he probably didn't, you know, he saw a pathway and then like, you know, it sort of ended when, you know, they bought Connor Tracy and all these sort of blokes and he's just like, what position am I? He's a fullback. He's a fullback.
He's still in a tough position now because
still,
Isaiah Young is the dude.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, does he play off the 14? He needs to make himself that position where he because he can play 9 as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's got a very high skill set, very good kid, not short of confidence. He just loves that, but he just needs to find a position. He just needs to get a taste for first grade and just keep building because he's a good kid. He's got a lot of talent.
Yep.
I'm glad he's getting a chance there. With Jordan Semrani, that was involved in the club for the last 2 years, and Kitoni Kautonga, the Fijian back rower. He come from the Tigers. We got him, and he's been outstanding for those guys. So I'm proud of all those young kids because they knew, you know, we got to move on.
A credit to your system at the Bulldogs, and we're
because they're all really good kids.
The EELS are the beneficiary of it right now. Good humans. You can tell they've been in a good system. And Jason Rolls mentioned it after the game. He's the type of guy that he wants to play first grade. He's wanted to play first grade. He's the biggest supporter. He's a cheerleader basically when he's not on the team.
Yeah,
he's been 18th
best.
man a couple of times. He's been celebrating the boys when they've been getting wins, celebrating guys in his position that have been getting tries. Remember after the Raiders game, and you mentioned Kitoni Kautonga? Yeah. Remember when I watched the Raiders drub in, and I was like, mate, this just reminds me of you guys in 2023 when you played the Broncos, and there are a number of guys, and it wasn't about them not ever being first graders. I said that I don't believe they're first graders right now. Yeah. Kitoni was one of those guys.
Yeah, Kits is one. Yeah, he had a lot to learn.
He has completely changed my opinion in the last 5 or 6 weeks to the so extreme where he's not only, I believe he's a first grader and going to be a good first grader, they've got a good little piece there on the left edge.
He's got a lot of skill. He was there for 2 years, I think, maybe 18 months. Yep. He just couldn't get the defensive system right. But by the end, he did.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a fatigue thing too, mental.
Yeah. So like Kicks was out for a bit, Presto was out for a bit, and he had to stay, got the starting spot for a little bit.
Awesome.
But and he's learned so much. Those 3 players learned all of Ciro's defensive principles. Yeah. And it's starting to download now. And they're taking it into this club here, and they know exactly what to do. So
awesome.
It's it's a credit to, and Rolsey knows exactly what's going on there as well. He's a great he's going to be a good coach. But Ciro really drilled all those things into those young kids. Not taking fucking anything from these guys, but they learned the last 2 years with Ciro. I bet you ask these guys what they learned. It's all defense, man. These kids can attack fucking from anywhere.
Every kid can attack.
Yeah, you can't coach attack, right? With what Joe Ash can do, and even Kits, right? He just but like Jordan Semrani, he plays centers, he can play back row. I told him, I said, because he done an ACL, I said, you'll be in the back row soon.
You bring up a great point, and I wanted to give Jason Rolls a rap for something that he said in the presser. And this is why I'd love to be coached by a guy like Jason Rolls. He's already identified that certain players need certain different levels of coaching. And this is a great, this is not only for players, but for other coaches out there who might be coming through. He mentioned that Jordan Samrani needs a shitload of information. Yeah. He wants to know exactly where he's going to be, who he's playing against, all this sort of stuff. So he needs to be communicated differently to Joe Ash. He goes, Joe Ash just goes out there and plays. Yeah. He goes, I don't need to overload stuff. I was the Samranis. And I like to use us as an example as much as I can. Jason Riles wouldn't need to tell you a shitload before a game. You're going to go out there, you know exactly what you're doing. You're going to play your style of game. I am the sort of player like Sam Rani where, all right, like what's the weaknesses? What are the deficiencies? How, when do you want me to get in? At what point? Like how many carries? Like, am I overdoing it? All those are certain things that I used to think about, which might be over the top to you because you didn't require that. No. But it's a credit to Jason Riles, only 10 games into his career.
He knows.
And he's been through the best tutelage I just love what both Christian Wolf and Jason Riles are doing at the clubs with an undermanned in terms of talent and roster. The job that they're doing at both
I love it. I love it too.
You can see that they're trending.
I love the young coaches coming through. That's they're all in my era and my which is great. And to see them, because we were the guinea pigs of the hard work, fucking just everyone getting coached the same level. Fuck you should know, tough, this, that, fucking everything 100% on, off the field, blah, blah, blah. And so everyone, it's different. It's a different generation, man. If you can't evolve, Wayne Bennett keeps evolving from the 80s. So you just evolve with the players and society and everything. And everybody gets coached different. Not everyone gets coached like me or you or Mark O'Mealy or fucking Joe Ash. You know what I mean? We're all different characters, and some things make us tick, some things piss us off. So it's great that these young coaches understand that.
And I also want to give a huge shout out to Dean Hawkins. He was excellent.
He was, wasn't he?
We talked about the two players not having much experience going head-to-head against each other, Jacob Arthur and Dean Hawkins. Dean Hawkins was clearly the better out of the two on the night. So congrats to Dean Hawkins. I think he had 4 try assists. Yeah. How good's that from a guy who's been a bit of a journeyman at South Sydney now for a while? Junior played 250. Does Junior get 6 again for the 250?
Junior does, yeah.
Junior 6 again.
Yeah,
all right. He gets a pass. As for Manly, I always thought last week's win against Cowboys was a false form line, but with Para missing Momax, was that enough to get him over the line with everything that was happening with Turbo?
We said last week why we went the Eagles, because we thought Turbo and Hamole were going to just crush these other blokes.
Yep.
Happened the other way around.
All right, so here's my thing for Tom, and not an excuse, but just I want to ask you, does this factor into the mental side of things? So you were an Origin player, Mace. In games, I don't know if you ever played in games when you weren't selected when you should have been, or where you thought that you should have been selected, or you're at least playing to that level. But would it be hard for a guy like Tom, with everything that he's gone through physically in the last 2 or 3 years and mentally off the field, trying to get get himself back on the field and playing to the level that he knows when he's fully fit what he's capable of? Then he doesn't get selected, or there's perceived rumours that maybe they had a conversation that he's not quite ready for Origin. So instead of playing tomorrow night, he played on Friday night against a Parramatta team coming last with no Jake, no Origin, 13,000 at CommBank compared to 45,000 at Suncorp. Now, people
would he have factored that in, you reckon?
No, just this is just subconsciously things I think players go through at times where when I was looking at Turbo, I was going,
I could be in camp.
Like when the game's going ugly like it is, and he's a bit busted and he's a bit sore and he should be an Origin player. I'm just looking at, and I've played with guys before that have come back. It's more so I see these sorts of performances or after Origin, when you're deflated, when you play at Suncorp and you get 45,000 game one and you've got to come back and play at Parramatta 3 or 4 days later and there's only 13,000 people and it's, the crowd, the significance of that.
That's a different mentality.
Yeah. That'd be mentally
a different mentality.
difficult.
Like it's different what he's going now, because I think he has done the admirable thing and rang Loz up. Yeah, I'm just saying. I just think he would do that. I just honestly think he would have done that and said, "Don't even consider me," right? Because he probably would have been. Wouldn't have looked out of fucking. Wouldn't have looked out of. Like if he got picked, everyone's like, "Okay."
But he wouldn't have been himself.
Exactly. So I just think, and then he goes, "Okay, now I'm just sitting here playing against fucking Parramatta Eels who just want to fucking crush me." All these young kids and everybody like that,
hungry,
hungry as hell, and I'm sitting here, it's a different attitude. I don't know. I still thought he played okay, but it was hard. It was a hard game.
He wasn't awful, but
hard to get up for.
I actually think him and Hamole were the better of the two for like the two of the best for Manly, but still.
I thought they would have got the job done. They were fucked.
Remember when we after the Cowboys game and I said Hamole looks like the big kid in under 10s that just runs through the team. Now he looks like the big kid in under 20s in a bad team when there's no development, no coaching. Sorry, let me reframe that. Now he looks like he is in the under 20s team, and I've played with players like this where they have a bit of a growth spurt, but then everyone sort of catches up, and then they just throw the ball to the big Islander kid, and they expect him to skittle everyone. But it doesn't look like there's really any game plan about how you're going to best get him into the game.
This is the flip side of the debuts, right?
Yes.
Oh, he's a great debut. It's good on you. The family's in there. And then you look at some of the players that played that are first grade players, and you're like, this is why you're in fucking reserve grade. This is why. This game here, there's a couple I'm not even going to name them. You're just like, this is why you're not getting a crack. Because you come into first grade and you shit the bed. They're not that, they just ruin the fucking game. Especially for Seagulls. There's a couple of players out there you're just like, fuck, how many chances do you want? DCE's out, a couple of other players are out. The people that come in just like, oh, God, killed it.
To be honest, I was more disappointed with some of the guys. And I'm not going to, again, I don't want to name names because we don't want to single people out. But I reckon there was 3 or 4 guys that have been Manly first graders for 3 years that didn't live up to it. And if you think about the edge, I'm pumped for Josh Papali and Jordan Samrani. They went against Tolu Kola and Lehigh Hopewadi, who I have a huge opinion of. And those two aren't the guys that I'm specifically pointing out right now.
More, but it wasn't those two. Every time they went there, they nearly scored.
It's the forwards, mate.
It's the setup through the forwards. That's exactly right.
They don't have any punch through the middle. And I'm looking at a guy so I just gave Kitiani a huge rap. Mate, I want to see more of this Caleb Navale off the bench. He only played in 15 minutes. You can see conditioning is an issue for him right now. But the 2 players with leg speed in the way the game, Bullymore and Navale,
35 minutes.
They can move fucking quickly over 5 to 10 meters.
Why aren't they getting played more? Fuck it, who cares? Next game.
All right, let's get to the Knights defeating the 25. The Knights defeat the 25, defeat the Panthers 6. I wrote at the top of this, I think, and this is my opinion, I think Dylan Lucas' hamstring cost him a real shot at being a State of Origin player at some point this season. And I would prefer him slightly, and this is my opinion, you can have your take on this after this.
I'm pretty much
I would have him over Hudson and Hamole for an Origin spot because I think he's got more versatility. I think he can play
center,
just as good back row as as the other 2 guys, but he can play center, obviously, which is crucial. And I just got a huge opinion of Dylan Lucas. I think he's going to be.
I think he's a gun.
I think if he was in the Knights were travelling and he was playing good footy, then more people would be talking about him.
Oh, for sure. I think he's a gun. I always have. The hamstring did cost him a fair crack at putting his name in there, right? Even being in the 20-man squad. I think he could have really shoved his little head in there.
Yep. Little head.
Yeah, I'm in the fucking top 20. So I think he did that, but I still think he'll play a part. He'll be in a squad, right? For the if it's a decider, maybe into that one, or if it's not a decider, he might get a crack.
Yeah,
I don't know. With injuries and everything like that, I think I wouldn't see him I wouldn't see him.
Should have had 4 of the best.
You won't let anyone down, right? If just say a few injuries happen to some back rolls, and you got Huddy Young starting, and you need a bench player, I'd be putting Dylan Lucas in there if he keeps his form up. You're not going to be playing against a fucking reserve grade Penrith side every week. The two best players were Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Lucas. That's why I saluted in the tips going into it. But geez, I know we've got Kalen Ponga, and I was just thinking about how we can sort of construct this team. They've got 2 options. We either revisit the Ponga into the half situation, but in saying that, I thought Gamble and Cogger connected well together in the halves, actually being out-and-out halves. So if I had to throw out another option, maybe you move Fletcher Sharp, because the best part of Fletcher Sharp's game is his kick returns and his play 1s and 2s. Yeah.
He's so good at it.
Yeah.
So when you move him, if he goes back to the 6, it takes him away from that role, even though he's so much better at it.
Put him on the wing.
Maybe he could go that hybrid wing role like Zach Lomax and that are doing. Because Gamble was unreal. He comes up with 3 try assists for Dylan Lucas. He should have had 4 if Dylan Lucas didn't bomb that try. And you could see that those 2 guys benefited from having each other in the team, like Gamble and Cogger. They couldn't run the team isolated by themselves with Fletcher Sharp at 6, and they looked like they were so much better at a 7 and 6 because they're actual. Cogger's an actual traditional 7, and Gamble is a traditional 6.
Yeah. They need to do that against a fucking NRL side.
Well, it's like the other teams. You just got to play what's in front of you.
It's different. They're playing against different players, mate. The Panthers had fucking no one on those edges when they were going to the line. So if they can do that against...
What about the Dolphins against the Bulldogs? Why didn't you you've got to have the same critique against Isaiah Katoa and the Dolphins against the Bulldogs.
They carved us up. I'm just saying, Tyson Gamble, how many times do you want to fucking have a crack and you just don't do it in first grade when there's an NRL team there?
But no, see, this is where we got to be fair, mate.
I am fair. I've seen him fucking play.
All right. But there was, you just got to be fair with the
Cogger.
criticism. I know you don't say like you've got to be fair to say reserve graders against Bulldogs for Isaiah Katoa and what Cody Nikorima did. And I know you got to play whatever's
There's no
in front
reserve
of.
graders in the Bulldogs team.
He had 11 out.
Yeah, but they still weren't the reserve graders. They've just got fucking pumped by the Dolphins. There's no excuses there.
All right, to the excuses though for the Panthers, and this is what I was looking at with those Panthers younger players, and I'm comparing it to sort of the Eels when you flip over to the other side with the Eels. Is not to say it's easier for the Eels players to come in and do a job like Joe Ash, like Sam Rani, but there's not the expectations for them. Whereas like when you're in this Penrith team,
it's the next man up mentality.
they're 4-time champions, right? So the expectations for the Casey McLeans, the Jesse McLeans, even our man Milky Jenkins, right?
Yeah.
They're if they play shit and they play bad and they fuck up, they're fucking up the 4-time, 5-time, like the swing of it, right?
Pressure, mate.
I think we talked about the mental side of what Turbo's going through, or I did anyway. I think the Panthers' younger players for sure are just feel like it's sort of caving in on them whenever they have to play games.
Much. And they're just because they've had a lot of help last 4 or 5 years. They had a big nursery there. They've had players come up and like they're ready for first grade. It's just run out. They need those. Even with the big dogs back, they still can't get that. Like this would have been a decent game even with like all those guys back.
Yeah,
you know, if Newcastle played to that sort of level, you know. But like, fuck, it's hard. I don't know what to say about Penrith.
Well, this is what I said, and I predicted this before because I envisioned this happening. Once they were going to go through, they weren't playing good enough footy at the time to be losing 5 or 6 Origin players and then still go on and win. This is why I tipped the Knights as well, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't think they're going to win one through this period.
And I keep saying this because I'm talking down, not talking down, but I'm talking about their chances this year with the Panthers. I fully expect a bounce back in 2026. I think they need a sneaky veteran signing in the back line, though, for next year. Maybe it's something to look. These youngsters in the backs just aren't quite. They're either feeling the pressure.
They thought they had those guys, didn't they?
Yeah.
With the Tungos and he was playing in the back row, and then Schneider and that. They were just picking on Schneider in the other back row. They weren't nowhere near it. That's why Gamble was going straight into the line. Dylan Lucas was just running outlines.
Yeah.
Like that's if you've been fucking defending on the right foot, if you're a good decent player, it's man on. That's a one-on-one tackle, which they weren't making. You can't.
They improved in the second half.
Yeah, they did. But
they started
was already
so
done.
poorly.
It was already done. Like Gamble's just going to the line, stepping over a little bit, go and bang, either running an out ball, Lucas, or in. Like it was just really. I'm not sure who that back row was, but I know they were getting a Schneider. I think Schneider was the 3-man.
It was Schneider the 3-man, and it was Isaiah Papali'i the 4-man.
They were getting schooled.
The Roosters 42 defeat the Sharks 16. We talked about some OG performances, but geez, Teddy, Rads, and Toops. They willed their younger players to a victory for the full 80 minutes in this.
I thought. Did you back the Sharks?
No.
Did you go the Roosters?
Oh, sorry, I backed the Sharks in this one.
I thought they were going to get up.
This was the worst.
What happened?
This was the worst performance of the teams because the Sharks had a full deck of cards.
So the only 2 meaningful games in my head was this one and the next one.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, the other ones are just like fucking whatever.
Yeah.
But this was a fair income game because they weren't losing that many players. And the Sharks just went.
So the Roosters lost heaps. The Sharks didn't lose any. So there was no excuses at all for the Sharks in this one.
I thought it was good.
And there was not like, you know how we talked about, the Manly's even missing Ches, Turbo, all that sort of stuff. Slight excuse. Bulldogs are missing a number of players. Panthers are missing a number of players. Sharks weren't missing anyone.
No one.
And that's why this game was probably the worst out of all of them for the favourites.
was.
Because the Roosters were missing 5, believe it or not.
2
during
rookies.
Origin.
2 rookies.
And I thought Teddy and Rads were awesome. Also, I want to give
Toops.
a shout out to Lasalu and Fiketti. They surprised a few Sharks players with their physicality.
Yeah.
I reckon they had a number of them that were just looking for jerseys to avoid.
Yeah. I don't know. That was one of their best wins, I think. It was their best win of the year for the Roosters.
We're at 8:35. What are we going to do?
We'll fucking get through this.
Yeah?
Fuck,
All right, sweet.
mate.
I'm trying to rush and it's fucking...
Yeah, it's hard. Don't worry. Just get through your points. We'll get through the points. We'll be sweet.
All right, so here's one for you. Hugo Savalo. Best position moving forward. Savala, and I think you've got to pick between the two, especially if the rumours are correct and Robbo didn't completely rule that out after the game with Ches potentially arriving. If you have to pick between Savala or Smith, I think you've got to go Savala at this point just because of the kicking game. Because they don't have a long kicking game at all.
Savala's game. He's the one who's getting them out of their they're fucking in goal,
Yeah.
everything like that, like just kicking it down, like he's got a Burton boot. You know what I mean? He's getting
long,
them out of their
long
shitty
and
little
high.
positions, long and high. It's like 4 seconds hang time. They're getting down there and they're fucking getting their sets done like that. So, yeah, I like him. I'm not sure if he's the future of the Roosters for 7 years, but
we talked about the position of Lachlan Galvin before. It reminds me of the same where I think he could play 13. I think he could grow
Savala,
into his body and grow into 13.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
But whether he wants to play 13 or not, that's different, right?
Exactly. If you've been a back, this would be the hardest transition. If you've been playing 5'8" or half your whole life, and you're like, I see you as a 13. Fuck, mate, do you know how hard that position is?
Just looking at Buzz. Oh, okay. So Lukey is saying that Para have inquired about Hugo Savala or Sandon.
Okay.
Okay, could. Yeah, he's the kicker.
Yeah. You've been making it for Savala.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's what's with Sam Walker could be returning in about 4 to 6 weeks. Well, they said they were gonna. Could be around 20 proposition before the season finished. And then if Ches does arrive for the next 2 years. Yeah. Do either of these two guys want to sit around and sit behind him? It's the same conversation that I was having about Sexton
if
before.
Savala's getting options, that means DCE is probably going to go there.
Okay.
Well, I think that if he goes to Para, that means DCE wants the Roosters, and the Roosters want DCE.
Okay. And do you reckon Savala's been made aware of that?
Yeah,
potentially.
If you can go.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, I just wrote down just a quick one. Dom Young reluctantly was playing really well.
He was all right.
You know, when like he made the break and he set up that try, like popped in the inside to Teddy. I was watching his body language in the background. It's like
thank fuck.
Winning despite like how he's feeling about the club at the moment. The one part I want to point out with the Sharks, and we talked about this, and people were blowing up about the way Ronaldo Mulatalo and that was acting last week. And what did we say last week? Rugby league has a real way of humbling you within a week of rugby league, and that's what happened to the Sharks over the weekend. They were outplayed in every way by a more energetic Roosters, young, energetic Roosters team, and maybe they fell into the trap of beating a really good team in the Melbourne Storm. They went up against a Roosters team that were missing fucking multiple players, whether it be injury or origin. And then they had the bye this week.
Yep.
They just wanted to get through this game, and they didn't want to go out and just roll the sleeves up.
No. It's I don't understand with the Sharks. This really threw me off. It just threw me off everything. I'm just like, they should be flogging these blokes. Obviously, the Roosters were always going to turn up to play, but I'm thinking a couple of rookies here and there, some key players out. I'm like, okay, this should be Sharks getting this win pretty easy. Tough, but pretty easy. Not this performance, like 42-16. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, where did it all fall apart? The middle? I mean, like... The middles?
They got bashed through
middles
the middle.
got fucking ragdolled. You got Fanua Blake and Kafusi and like
they
fucking
did a great
McInnes.
job on Adam. You know what they kept on doing with Adam? Just getting out anytime, because if you allow him to get over the front, and it's easier said than done, and it really, you've got to be really switched on.
You've got to have a real plan for him.
Get out and chop, and I think he still would have ran for 200 metres, but nowhere near as effective with the tackle breaks and also like skiddling people.
Yeah.
So they were just chopping his legs the entire game.
Let's get through this because we'll be fucked.
Yeah. All right.
It's like, what time? I've got to get to the airport at 9:20.
Okay. All right, let's go. The last little game was the Raiders 16 defeating the Warriors 10.
Yeah, I want to get to this game. This was a game. This was a mad game.
Yeah, this was like a semi-final like intensity I wrote down. I thought Adam G had a couple of rough calls in this game. I normally love the G-man. But the Raiders had a few bad early. Warriors got a few bad late. But you can tell the Warriors games meant a lot to Tarpany, and that's why he was your OG bull.
I just think he took it personal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I was thinking everyone else, because he's got that Maori descent, you know what I mean? He's a Māori. He needs to be the fucking the big dude out there,
especially with Fish,
and him and Fish would have went at it as well, and Barnett, everyone. Then Horsburgh would have went on it. Would have been a greater game. It was still it was still the match of the round. The Warriors come to play. The big Bunty Afoa coming off the back fence and everyone like that. It was a great game to watch. But the Raiders, they frustrate me because they're There's no real game plan for him.
It doesn't look like it. There's no. It doesn't look like
it's not like
super structure that you can break
that
down.
right side is Fogarty needs to get out of his break a little bit quicker. Because even when Tuivasa scored, right, in that corner, the first try, like he just sits in too long. You've got to get up and release. That's where there's a lot of joy. Where play like really good left side teams are going to go down. That's their weakness, right?
I think if the conditions were better, they probably would have gone on it too. Because even Webby said that after the game. And Tom Starling for the Raiders, he's putting together a career best year. But
I loved him.
I think he'll miss a game now for that late hit that he had on.
Jeez, yeah, there was no doubt. That was still silly.
And he jumped in the air and hit him.
He jumped.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. Like,
And-
I'm just thinking some of these things that some people do is just like, even going back to the Parramatta game, like with Penasini, like the amount of tackle check and everything you do. I'm not just saying, like, you just don't stay tall in a collision on your first run like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then the repercussions are grade 1. You're out for the whole thing.
You know, it's the deflections that are getting players.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful when you're going down there to stay low, not get in that head range. You know, you got to see how tall these guys are and how big.
Remember the
I
tackles?
looked at that, I was like, fuck, mate, you got to be so much more careful.
Remember the tackles last year? I think it was Moses Sully. So he goes in there for good contact. He thinks he's got a good height on Jared. And then Jaden Stewart comes and knocks him off his perch, which is the mitigating circumstances, which changes Hargraves' level. Boom, Moses Sully done.
Yeah, you've got to be like, especially for outside backs and halves when they're just a little bit of late footwork. The next minute, you know, especially with Spencer Leniu, he's coming at you. Next minute, you're here, and then he's there real quick. So if you're not in that real power position, you're going to get knocked out. But yeah,
it's going to open up an opportunity for more Owen Paddy as well. So that could, you know, that's something to watch out for the Canberra Raiders, because if they've got the bye this week, the following week they get Owen Paddy. If he plays, I've been screaming for him to get more minutes, but Sticky's doing that.
Starling's been
awesome.
You got to get the best out of him. He's on 2-year deal too. So what are you going to do with Brayley? Anyway, it's another conversation.
Yeah, Noel Martin, he just looks like the production line.
Oh yeah, big man.
I want to give Jackson Ford a shout out for the Warriors. I was calling that game and just felt like he was in everything. He started on the bench too, by the way, because Murata started up front.
Read those stats out.
And I remember just as the game was going on, I was like, fuck, Jackson Ford's been in everything. He was. 16 carries for 209, 43 tackles. And that's how you empty the tank when you got to play a different role off the bench, right, Mace?
That's outstanding. Outstanding, Jackson Ford. They were really good.
I was a little bit disappointed with some of the younger guys, but I think conditions were a big part of that. Ali didn't really get much ball because he was on the right, and all they wanted to attack on the left, as you mentioned. Lecker was okay without being great after getting a bit of extension, but for me, the key was no Barney and Fish were already big outs in this game, but with wet conditions and the aggression and it went up, that would have suited them to a T.
100%, because when Tarps went up, they would go up and they would get those boys up. And I think the Warriors probably nearly get them. I think.
I agree.
I reckon,
I agree.
Like these guys, you just all they're missing is Hardy Young. They're missing Barnett and Fish. Fucking big outs.
Huge
Origin player, one of the best props in the game. Both of them. You know what I mean?
I think Fish has only got maybe he got 2 games for that. No, only one game. He got 1 game because they went the early play.
Warriors, I'm not going to look at that game and go, that was shit. I'm just like the conditions, the no rule, like it fucked the flow up of like, you know, the benchies having a start and then putting the other young kids on. It was just their rotation got mixed up.
To be fair, I'm more confident in the Warriors after that game than I was in some of the other games that they won, because they went toe-to-toe with a good premiership top 4 team, in my opinion, in wet conditions where you got to be able to win in different ways, and by no means did I think they let themselves down. So I thought the Warriors were really good.
Well, they're good.
All right, mate, enjoy it. So where you go? Gold Coast, is anyone can come find you tonight? Tomorrow?
No, tomorrow night I'll be at the Gold Coast.
At the
Star City.
Yep.
Just doing the Origin there. Just doing a Q&A and a couple
Q&A,
of people doing
preview,
review,
talk at halftime.
Talk halftime, all that kind of stuff. So it'd be good fun.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website